And we are here to talk about the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act of 2009. Now, it's probably an understatement to say that there's been a lot of discussion surrounding this bill. We have questions. We know you all have questions. First, I wanted to tell you why we decided to do it under the format of the CEDS process. For those of you that are not familiar with CEDS, CEDS stands for the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, and it is a requirement that all regions that get funding from the Economic Development Administration, which includes Greater Birmingham, have a plan in place to basically to determine what direction it wants this economy to go in, what opportunities does it want to take advantage of, and then you have to have projects that support those goals and strategies under the CEDS process. We've developed a brand new CEDS. It's called a strategy, but it's really a plan, a strategic plan. We developed it back last summer. It is an ongoing process. We're constantly adding and deleting projects to the CEDS for the region, basically as projects are completed or as we determine there are other directions we need to try to go in, other opportunities we want to capitalize on as a region. So we had this existing process in place, and it just made sense to attempt to address the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act is the ARA, but that's very uncomfortable to say that. It's not flow smooth out of your mouth, but the ARA just makes sense because CEDS deals with redevelopment, restructuring, and so does the ARA. Okay, I guess the more I say it, the more comfortable I become with it. We've invited members of the CEDS Strategic Committee here, and if you're here this morning, would you raise your hand so everyone else will know who you are? All of our committee members for the CEDS Strategy Committee. Okay, but hold the pie. Okay. Like you're proud of it. Okay. Of course, we do appreciate your participation and the time you put into this process. We also have a number of special guests that we invited because we just knew that they would be interested in this process as well. There are still a lot of unknowns in regard to this, the new bill, and there's a lot of research that's been done by the staff of the Regional Plan Commission as well as others in the community. So hopefully with this our esteemed panel this morning that you'll have more answers than questions when you leave today. Okay, on our panel, we have Justice Drayton Neighbors, who is the governor of Alabama's point person for the bill. And Mr. Neighbors, Judge Neighbors, I think everybody knows the judge, and we're just very, very grateful for him to be able to spend some time with us this morning. We also have Dr. Samuel Addy. Okay, Dr. Addy is the director of the University of Alabama's Center for Business and Economic Research. And Dr. Addy, raise your hand so everyone can see you. All right, next to, I think we expected one more gentleman from the FHWA. I don't believe he's here today, so we'll go to Mr. Andrew Benefield, who's the special assistant in the Alabama Department of Economic and Community Affairs, or DECA. Just down from Mr. Benefield, we have Mr. Bill Forsey, who is our Director of Administration here at the Regional Planning Commission of Greater Birmingham. And next to Mr. Forsey, we have Ray Morris, who's our Director of Administration here at the Regional Planning Commission. So what we'll do first is I'll ask Dr. Addy if he'll come forward, and he's going to give us a presentation on an overview of Alabama's economy and give us the context behind which we need to consider the funding for the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning. The center is typically known as a repository, and this is the Center for Business and Economic Research, as a repository of data on the state. We are committed to economic development, and our analysis also is geared in the same direction. We try to make as objective analysis as possible, irrespective of what our feelings and affiliations are. The aura, and I'm trying to use it, I thought people call it a stimulus, right? Or the rose, or whatever. You know, it's all good. It's all good. That's the point I want to make. It's all good and it's necessary at this time. What I'm going to show you in the next few minutes, a few slides, I'll gloss over some, but basically to paint for you an overview of the economic times, the climate that ARA is embedded in. First thing, we know times are tough. We are in a recession. Who believes it's a good recession? How many of us are parents? Grandparents? How many of us have spanked kids before or put them in timeout? Can you define a recession for me? That's what this is for. It's a correction. It's us spanking ourselves for misbehaving for a while. And I'll show you the data on that. First, let's go back. We see that this is what's going on. GDP contracted a nice 6.2% in the fourth quarter. Revenues are falling for both federal, state, and local governments. We know wealth is going down, home prices are falling, the stock market is down. In any case, let me note here that the stock market is not a good indicator of the economy. It's only a good indicator of expected after-tax profits. So when you see the daily gyrations, don't use the stock market as an indicator of the economy. If the economy had shrunk by more than half of its size or value in 2 years, half of us would not be sitting here right now. Next, consumers are retrenching, and they are right to do so, and I'll note why. This is good. Government intervention is in and it's continuing, and it's so because we need it. The Fed is doing all it can. Credit is improving, and it's cleaning up the credit market as well. The marginal people who enter the credit or financial industry who have backed out and are staying out is good for us. But credit is slowly improving. Now, destruction we know is usually faster than building. So it will take a while for us to feel that the credit markets are back. We have a large fiscal stimulus. As economists, we don't see it as a 787 billion stimulus or ARA. For us, it's 717 or 718 because the 69.4 billion, which is geared for the alternative minimum tax, would have occurred anyways. So the influx is actually 717 by our calculation. And we are looking at a very big new budget. And back to that point, the recession is really helping us to get consumer spending, government spending, and savings in balance. Consumer spending went out of whack. You can see it. That's the long term. If you go as far back as 1929, long-term average is 66% or 67.2% actually. 66. Over this period that we are looking at, it was the average is 68. It topped out in the second quarter of 2007 at 72%, but it's now started heading in the right direction. So we are in a correction. What happens is when you consume too much and you consume private goods and services, the public goods and services that we consume or like to consume, though sometimes we don't like to pay for it, and I'm guilty as anybody else. We don't like to pay the taxes for it, but we like to drive on the roads, have the prisons, have good schools, etc. When this gets out of whack, that goes out of whack, and so does savings. So you can see government spending, this is the long-term average, 25%. Over this period, the average is 20%. This is where government spending goes up now. So actually,